Welcome to Pet Sitter Confessional, an open and honest discussion about life as a pet sitter. Today, we're brought to you by Time to Pet and Pet Perennial. We are super excited to have Ken Botts, owner of Creekside Critters Pet Sitters, on the show to talk about his journey into pet care, lessons that he's learned along the way, and how he's focused on growing his business, being a principled individual, and focusing on his clients and everything in between. Ken, I'm super excited to have you on the podcast and to have met you at the Texas Pet Sitters Association conference recently, but down in Louisville. So it's a pleasure to have you. Could you please tell us a little bit more about who you are and all that you do?
Yeah, first, I just want to say I'm super grateful to you and Megan for having me on. I came up to the table where y'all were at the Texas the Pet Sitters Conference just to say thank you for all the great support that you provide the pet sitting community. And I was just blown away when you said, "Hey, you want to be on the show?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." That's awesome. But really, just, I'm a huge fanboy of the work that y'all do. And I want to say thank you for giving us this opportunity to be on your show.
Well, thank you, Ken. Yeah.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome. So yeah, as you said, I'm the owner, founder, whatever, CEO, everything of Creekside Critters Pet Sitters. And I'm also a husband, married, just grateful to be married to my best friend, Sandra, who also becomes part-time pet sitter when we get super busy. I'm a dad, father, GPA of 4 wonderful grandkiddos, and a fur daddy of 3 amazing orange tabbies, which I love and adore, as we do all of our pets. But before I got into pet sitting, and really what got me prepared to be good at this, better at this, was being in the food service industry for 35 years. That's where I spent the bulk of my career, and was thinking that's where I was going to retire before I started the pet sitting business. And it was really an amazing journey. And I look back at that journey now and realize that there was a higher purpose. I think God had his hand in that journey and moving me towards what I'm doing now, giving me the experience that I had working in restaurants.
You say food service, so walk us through kind of what your level of involvement was with that and kind of what your focus was in that career for you.
When I was 15 and a half years old, my mom gave me the keys to the family car and said, "You got to put gas in it and you have to buy your own insurance." So she suggested that I get a job in the restaurant industry and told me, I remember this advice, that you'll always have a job if you do that. So I did. And one of my first jobs, which I still to this day think is the most important job in the restaurant world, was a dishwasher. So I started at the extreme bottom and just worked my way up. And over those 35 years, I did everything from washing dishes to training, managing, leading restaurant operations. I stayed mostly in corporate fast food environment. And then in the 90s, my sister and I went into business together, and we opened up a couple of restaurants. Back then I was living in California, and we were quite successful with those. And then the last 10 years of my career, I transitioned into higher education food service almost by accident. I was recruited by a company called Sodexo, who was looking for somebody that had retail experience like I did. And I became kind of their food court guru, if you will. They'd open up a new operation at a different university, which allowed me to travel pretty much 42 weeks out of the year, which was also my introduction to pet sitting, because I had a full-time pet sitter that worked with me while I was traveling all those years. But the 10 years at the University of North Texas really kind of started leading me into what I'm doing now as a pet sitter. In 2011, one of my projects that I worked on there in dining services was to convert one of our dining halls into an all-vegan dining hall. And doing that in Texas was kind of the shot heard around the world. Meat-free cafeteria in the state of Texas, the beef capital of the world, got a lot of media attention. It also got the attention of some of the animal welfare groups, most notably the Humane Society of the United States, who was very interested in the work I was doing. And after after I finished my 10 years at the University of North Texas, I had a family health crisis where I needed to go back to California. And in that process, the Humane Society of the United States recruited me. And that began the chapter that has now become pet sitting.
I love how you started off that story by talking about one of those positions. You said you still believe it's one of the most important jobs about dishwashing. Why is that, Ken?
When you're a dishwasher, and there's so many famous chef quotes out there. One of the most notable ones was the late chef Anthony Bourdain, who said that being a dishwasher taught him every important lesson in his life. And truly, that's the case. It teaches you pride in work, so work ethic. But it also allows you to see every experience, every position in a restaurant. So through that position at that early age, I learned about leadership and management, organizational skills, customer service, attention to detail, problem solving skills. What happens when the dishwasher breaks down, but also gratitude for having a job that was kind of the gift that kept on giving.
Mm. Yeah, it is one of those obviously, honestly, just very overlooked positions of, oh, that's the dishwasher, that's a dishwasher. But realizing that, nobody, you can't serve food on a dirty plate, and you can't have the next meal if the pots are still, dirty. And it really is this, people are able to do their jobs by relying on that amazing person that it's doing that. And I love how you also mentioned that they get to see kind of everything and how it interacts. Really does give you an appreciation for just everything functioning as a unit and not just a one little slice of what's going on.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, having a poor dishwasher can bring a great restaurant to a grinding halt. I mean, dirty dishes, spots on the cups, in a fine dining restaurant, a speck on a plate that was missed by the dishwasher. I mean, that attention to detail really means the difference between a great customer experience and a well-run restaurant. So it's I've always thought of it as the heartbeat of the restaurant, and I learned a lot from doing that.
Yeah, it teaches you to rely on others too, and really has that teamwork approach as well. No matter what position that you're in, knowing that everybody's job is reliant kind of on the success or what other people are doing on theirs, and so it builds that teamwork together. You said you made that transition into pet care. What was that transition like, and kind of why did you decide to leave food service after 35 years and go into pet sitting?
Yeah, so the similarities between pet sitting and the food service industry. I mean, at the end of the day, it's hospitality, right? You're taking care of clients. And the transition for me was super easy, but almost accidental. So a couple years ago, let's say 2000, right before the pandemic happened, when the world changed, my wife and I were actually thinking of opening a restaurant. I had worked really hard, spent 2 years building a business plan. I was getting ready to sign a lease to open a restaurant here in Fort Worth, Texas. And then I started seeing restaurants get closed, and restaurants were struggling to find staff. You couldn't have staff in your restaurant. How are you going to deliver food? People couldn't come in and dine. And so I quickly saw the opportunity to pivot. And that pivot was just the right thing to do at the right time. And I think it was planned. The pivot into pet sitting was easier, obviously, than running a restaurant. To this day, my wife will tell people I'm so glad that we didn't open that restaurant, because the restaurant business is a full-time job, not dissimilar than pet sitting, right? Especially during the holidays. We're out in the field, and we're helping our pet sit staff, if you have staff, or if you're a solo pet sitter, you're doing it yourself. And it could dominate your life if you don't plan correctly. Mm-hmm. And I had the opportunity to step back, take a breath, slow down on the other project, and really understand what I wanted to do next. And having worked with the Humane Society for a bunch of years, and being introduced to pet sitting by having not only a full-time pet sitter when I was traveling, but also understanding that business model and the potential that it had. So I reached out to some local pet sitters who are now just really great friends of mine, Jan Archer at the Sitter of Paws, and the folks at Top Dog Pet Sitting over in McKinney, who were just opened up their door and said, yeah, let us talk about how you can be successful at this business. And then, of course, the resources available to us in the industry. Pet Sitters International, I joined, became a member of that. I'm a certified professional pet sitter now, took advantage of that training. And then, the folks like you that are just throwing these amazing resources out there to help us. And I listened to my fair share of your podcasts to really understand what the business was and to see if this was the right fit for me. And it was. And so we've been now chomping away, building the business for the last 3 years. We've got 6 staff members, got a manager, Lauren, who's doing an amazing job and growing with the business. And we have a great clientele who supports us with referrals and just, kind of justifies that this was the right decision and it was the best decision.
What about running a dog walking and pet sitting business was a good fit for you personally? I know a lot of people are drawn to this industry for various reasons, but for you personally, what was that?
I love building businesses. It's funny when you hear people say, I don't care about the money, but if you don't care about the money, then you shouldn't be in business. You can just retire, right? So, but I love building businesses. As a matter of fact, I volunteer with SCORE, which is a part of the Small Business Association. It's a nonprofit group, and I mentor other business owners. And I've had an opportunity to give back to not only the folks who are starting restaurants, which they kind of pull me into that a lot, but also I've gotten a chance to help some of my fellow pet sitters with their businesses. And so building the business and the day-to-day challenges of building a pet sitting business really is what excites me. Getting to work with my team, the staffing issues that are associated with that, training, analyzing your profit and loss statement, getting out in the community and marketing, which is probably the most fun part of it, and just taking care of the customers. It's all around. It's just was really an attractive opportunity for me, and I'll never look back.
I mentioned many people get drawn into this for their own reasons, and it's very interesting to hear how you were drawn to the running, the management, that side of things, because you had also mentioned earlier about how you kind of like, once you understood the business model, you understood the potential for it and what it could do. And that is a very different mindset, Ken, for what a lot of people bring into this. Is a lot of us, including myself, kind of wake up one day and realize that we're running a business, and now we kind of have to do things a little differently. And so, it's trying to wrap my brain around a business model and structure and team approach and being a manager and all this stuff. That's a huge area where a lot of us are going, what is that? Maybe I didn't want to do this for those reasons. And so it is important to always remember that we all have our own strengths, all have our own reasons and purposes for being in business, and to lean into that, right? And to know, and I'm sure for you too, Ken, as your business has grown, you've probably learned new things or fallen in love with different reasons for why you're in business.
Absolutely. The people part is really the most enjoyable part for me. And something I learned years ago was that in any kind of service industry, you've got 2 clients that you're serving. You've got your internal clients, which are your staff, and you have to take care of them really, really well, so that they'll take care of your external clients, which are your pet parents and ultimately the animals that we love and enjoy that make our job so amazing. And so by really being involved with those 2 aspects of the business, I get great joy. And then in the marketing as well, everybody markets different. And I know we'll probably talk about that a bit as well. But the part I enjoy the most is getting out into the community and meeting people not only other business owners through things like the Chamber of Commerce or the Chamber of Commerces that we're a part of, but also being involved as a volunteer and giving back to the community. One thing that we're working on right now, and this just happened accidentally, was through my relationship with being a business mentor. I'm also involved in community outreach on that committee. And I just had a meeting with the Fort Worth libraries, and we were talking about, helping small business get started and mentoring folks and whatnot. And then I mentioned, something I'd love to do for fellow pet sitters in the community is to teach a course on trap, neuter, release. My wife and I got certified in that because it's a big issue in a lot of our communities. Cats running around the neighborhood that everybody feeds, but nobody fixes. And so pretty soon you've got this perpetual cycle of more cats coming into the community. And so I saw that opportunity and they were like, oh my gosh, we need that. We have to do that. So, and that's something that we would do to help the community. But, at the end of the day, it's going to help our business too, because it's putting us in front of potential clients.
Yeah, and it's knowing what kind of opportunities you need to say yes to, because that's hard to know. There's so many out there, and I think that's where it can be. There's a lot of overwhelm to know. Oh, do I say yes to working with this person or to this person or that? But really, it's about going, okay, what actually aligns with. We have to go, what aligns with me and my personal core values, and how do I want to be seen within the community, knowing that everything that we do, and that's, gosh, you just unlocked a bunch of stuff in my brain there. So like as much as we don't interact with people, we're an exceptionally public company because people do see us out in the community. And as we're marketing, people look to our businesses to see what kind of messaging we're putting out there, to see what we're connected with, what our core values are, whether we're living those out or not. And so really taking the time for each opportunity that comes along our plate to look at that and go, okay, is this a good fit for us at its core or not? And then move on.
Yeah, and you guys did a great podcast. I don't know how long ago it was. It was called "The Cost of Being a Business Owner," where you kind of took a deep dive into the 5 major, costs and understanding, where you have to utilize your time and, the different hats you wear and stuff like that. Yeah, you have to prioritize that. When I would talk to people and they'd ask you, like, oh, what do you do? And as guys, we always go into our careers, right? Like, I'm going to talk about work. But I've really been mindful about putting up what's most important to me. What are the things that make me happy and what do I want to be known for long after I'm gone? And that, what I want to be known for was that I was a good husband. I was a good father. I was a good grandfather, that I gave back to the community. And those are the things that are important to me. And that translates into what's my value proposition to the community? What's my value proposition to the people in my life? And so, I really put I really focus heavy on that human aspect of what we do. When we started building the business, I didn't go right to digital. I didn't go on Facebook and Instagram and, like everybody does. I saw that because I had experience with that would be a big suck on my time, and was the ROI there, or would I get better return on investment ROI if I got out and got involved with the local Chamber of Commerce, and knocked on doors and did door hangers. Door hangers is how I got our first client, and so that was what started the ball rolling for us. Just being involved on the human side of being social and not just being on social media to get in touch with new clients and really make a difference in the community the way I want to make it.
Have you heard of Time to Pet? Doug from Bad to the Bone Pet Care has this to say.
Time to Pet has made managing my team and clients so much easier. Our clients love the easy-to-use app and scheduling features, and our sitters love being able to have all of their information organized and easily accessible. My favorite feature is the instant messaging. By keeping conversations on Time to Pet, we are able to monitor our team and ensure nothing ever falls through the cracks.
If you're looking for new pet sitting software, give Time to Pet a try. Listeners of our show can save 50% off your first 3 months by visiting timetopet.com/confessional. And early on, I know value proposition that you brought, I want to take you back to when you were at UNT and you made that all vegan dining hall. I mean, that's a huge break from a lot of people's expectations. Walk us through what it was like talking to people about that, because that's a very, very different message to get out there because it goes against the grain of a lot of people's expectations.
Yeah. Well, and it was part of my life as well. It always has been. When I was 18, I read a book, Diet for a Small Planet, by Francis Moore Lapay. That book influenced my life in so many different ways, and it showed me the suffering aspect of our food choices. And so, at an early age, I decided to become vegetarian. For those reasons. And so I've been vegetarian, vegan most of my life. And I always tried to utilize my position in food service to, influence those changes because, not to go on off into different tangents in the impact of our food choices, but, the impact of our food choices, changes the culture, it changes the environment. And it saves lives, it saves our lives, it saves animal lives. And so when we made that choice to open up a vegan dining hall, it wasn't popular at first because nobody had ever done it. I mean, this was back in 2010. And still to this day, nobody's ever done it. UNT, University of North Texas, has the only vegan dining hall in the world. And so that choice to do that was risky. The university, when they found out what we were doing in dining services, wasn't completely on board. But fast forward to after it happened, and after we opened it, they quickly realized that it was the right thing to do as an institution. And now here in 2024, they've got some amazing chefs. They're still going on. It's one price, all you care to eat. And it's one of the top 10 reasons that people chose to go to that university. So it was the right thing to do. And we were able to make that choice because being in the food service industry and understanding the trends that were going on at the time, people were starting to ask for more plant-based options. And so, we made that decision. It was risky, but the risk was worth it. And the payoff was amazing.
I'm just imagining when the university did find out exactly what you were all doing. Again, right? Just imagining trying to communicate the reason why it's important, because that's where we find ourselves a lot as business owners with our services going, no, you don't. This is why what we do is important. And some people will latch on to that. Other people won't. How do you walk through those conversations with potential clients?
It's one that I'm always really careful about, and really it's a little bit of PTSD associated with it. So when I was recruited by the Humane Society of the United States to develop a program around the work that I did at UNT, opening the dining program there, they wanted me to translate that and help other institutions around the world do what we did there. And so I created a program called Forward Food for the Humane Society of the United States, where we would go out and we would train chefs at large-scale institutions. Harvard University was the first one where we did the training. We also started working with hospitals. We worked with the military. Even the White House at the time asked us to come in and teach their chefs how to create these plant-based options. And so one of the opportunities that I had with HSUS was that I spoke at a lot of conferences. And one of the conferences, and this is where the PTSD part comes in, was a pet care conference that was attended by a lot of veterinarians and folks in shelter operations and, the leadership of these groups. And I had heard through the grapevine that the farmed animal veterinarians, the folks that worked on cows, pigs, and chickens that I was trying to take off the plates of people in institutions weren't so excited that I was there. And so, it's a difficult conversation when you love animals as much as we do, but then when you educate, people on the difference between why do we eat cows, chickens, and pigs, but not dogs, cats, and other animals that we love, so I sometimes avoid that conversation unwillingly, but it doesn't add value to me trying to recruit a new client.
well, and
but if they ask about it, that opens up a whole big door for me.
But it is again going there, understanding there's a time and place for things, and obviously speaking out when there's if there's an obvious need or an obvious opening in that time. But it is about communicating a tricky message to people who might not be receptive of it. And I don't know if you've gotten these calls, Ken, where people call and they want to use our boarding services, right? Which is funny because we don't offer boarding services. And then I've got to try and figure out, how do I talk to this person about a service that A, they didn't call for, and B, they probably don't want, right? Right. And now I've got to navigate that road. And at the end of the day, I have to understand and know that I can only talk so much. This person has to be receptive to getting this message. And if they're not, then I kind of have to wash my hands of that and step away.
Yeah. And, there's a conversation that happens with some clients, not as often as it was, when I first started, where they don't understand what in-home pet care is. What is pet sitting? What is dog walking? I mean, dog walking is kind of is what it is, but they think we're boarding. And so from time to time, I have to have that conversation, but it's an easy conversation, and they end up going, "Wow, that's even better than boarding," which I love hearing when they get that.
Yeah.
But recently, and it's made me think about our branding, Creekside Critters Pet Sitters. The term critter in Texas has a different meaning than it does in Los Angeles. And this guy at a coffee shop, I was ordering my coffee, and he goes, "Creekside Critters." He goes, "What kind of critters do you get rid of?" And I was like, "We don't get rid of critters. What are you talking about?" He's like, "Well, it kind of sounds like." I was like, "Yeah, you're right. It does sound like that. Snakes, raccoons." Pigeons. Maybe there's a side hustle there. I don't know, but but in a humane way.
Right, exactly. Yeah. We care for the pets you love and get rid of the pets you don't. No, I wouldn't go with that marketing message.
That's funny. Too funny.
Well, and you're right, because we do have to be careful about our messaging, right? And what we talk about, how we talk about it, and understanding that people will bring in their own past experiences, bring in their own preconceived notions and biases. I'm sure when you were talking with people about a vegan dining hall, people had thought about the one vegan burger they had 10 years ago that just tasted awful. And they said all vegan food's terrible, right? And they kind of swear it off. Same thing in pet care. One time, one person had a neighbor come over and take care of their pet, and it all, went to, where. And so they swear off pet sittings. And so really trying to message to those people can be tricky, especially if they come in kind of staunchly opposed to what we're trying to do.
Yeah. And it's funny you mentioned that about the bad vegan food, because when I would be speaking to a group of vegan advocates who were trying to, duplicate the work we were doing at the Humane Society of the United States, I would tell them that the biggest challenge to the vegan movement and getting this food on the plate is bad vegan food. So, we've all had that veggie burger, right? That's and the same is in the pet sitting industry. If you create a bad scenario, God forbid, and this has only happened once, where you've got a pet sitter who is late for an event or forgets an event, that's terrifying for us. So as we were building the business and taking advantage of all of the software options like Time to Pet and stuff that we've got access to, creating the processes and the backup process to make sure that client is well taken care of, because that one bad experience could be one bad Google review, which could take away a potential client from you. So, it's just like the bad veggie burger. Don't create that bad client experience or that bad pet sitting up, experience that's going to put a bad taste in a client's mouth.
Yeah. Well, and it's one of those, as you said earlier, about the similarity between food service and the pet care industry is it's all about hospitality, right? It's about understanding and taking care of the people and what is their experience that they have when working with us and our company. And that is such a different way of looking at this, of going, oh, I'm just providing a dog walk. It's like, no, the whole experience from beginning to end needs to have that customer, have that client top of mind and in focus. Otherwise, they could be having a terrible experience and we just have no idea. And they're just using us because we're convenient or something.
Yeah. And when I'm bringing on new pet sitters, part of the training, obviously we know you're going on a dog walk, you see the tail wagging, you let them do their sniffs, you give them a treat, that makes that dog happy. But with the client, there's a different opportunity there. And so there's a huge client opportunity through how we communicate to them, what kind of pictures we send to them, what the follow-up is with the client is going to determine if they use you again or not, or if they refer another client to you, which is critical in our business, to growing our business. And so, yeah, that there's I always see there's two parts to what we do, and both of them are customer service related.
How do you get your team to understand that aspect of it, that this is a hospitality, this is directed towards a client that we may never actually see when we're caring for their pet?
It all really goes back to the hiring process. So when I started hiring folks, I wasn't looking for, and you probably have seen this in your business as well. You'll get you'll put a new job out on Indeed or whatever, and you'll get a bunch of folks from the pet industry, pet techs and stuff like that, who are looking for that side hustle. I actually look for folks who have hospitality background. So, what is, have they been part of a club, or do they have some, fast food experience, that kind of thing, some type of service industry experience that I can tap into so I don't have to train that skill set, that they come already packaged with that skill set. I also look for folks that are retired. They're looking for something to do on the side. They might be a stay-at-home caretaker, whether that's a parent or taking care of someone, like their wife or husband. And then I look for folks that are in the service industry, but maybe they're working from home and they have a flexible schedule. But really, it starts with that hiring. And then the second part of that is, when we do hire them, letting them know that this wasn't an easy choice, that we had other options, but we chose them because of X, Y, Z. And Z has always got a relation to your past experience working in the, some type of service industry. And then the training part of that is critical. Having a formal training process, for us, that means that the first 2 days of joining the team, they get to spend with me. Fun. And we go hang out at a coffee shop. I get them all jazzed up on caffeine, and we get excited about all the software we use and the processes we have in place. And we spend a lot of time on pet on safety, safety for the pet sitters as well as for the pet parents and the pets that are in our care. So we focus a lot on that. And then I have a couple of team members. I mentioned Lauren, who's our operations supervisor, and then another gentleman who's on our team who's been with us for a while. Corey, he gets out and he actually does shadow events with the staff. Everybody on the team that's been with us for a while does shadow events, and we really don't let the folks go out on their own until they've got that experience. And we ask them to look through previous notes and pictures and find their own voice. But we let them know that customer experience doesn't end with the dog walk. It continues on with those notes that you send to the pet parents. And so the training and the follow-up and just meeting with my staff ongoing every couple of weeks, really that dynamic is what makes that happen.
Yeah. Well, and I love how you started off by talking about it starts with the hires, right? It really does. Sometimes we can train a lot. Can't train everything for somebody. And I love listening to people who have a service industry background and hearing how they talk about it. Because sometimes you get people who come in and it was a drudgery. It was, could you believe I had to, this isn't going to be the best fit to have a wonderful week. But when we get people who apply, people who work at like those edible arrangement things, and one she went on and on about how every detail mattered because she loved giving people a little bit of edible joy, is what she called it. I was like, oh, this person gets it. This person if somebody can connect precise cuts on a kiwi to a person's happiness and a smile, that's the kind of people that we want on our team, because they care about the details, because they know what it means to somebody on the other end.
Yeah. We used to say, higher personality trained skills. Actually, I still say that, so if you've got somebody that's got that personality, that has that detail mind, that shows care in the way that when they meet with you for their interview, or even on the phone, if you do phone interviews, that is important in making sure that you can deliver that experience to the client once they're on board.
Yeah, because then we can point them to the pet care skills and know that, okay, maybe I may have to cover a little bit about why this is important. But again, if this person can make those connections on their own, that's going to be a really invaluable asset to the team.
Yeah. And taking care of your team, letting them know that you're important. One thing I love about the software we use is I can grab photos, I can read everybody's notes, and I'll do that on a daily basis. I don't overdo it, but just enough to let them know that I'm paying attention to the good job that they're doing. So I don't know if you've ever read that book. It's been around forever, The 1 Minute Manager. That's the book that I'm using to train Lauren on leadership and management, which are two different things. But the personal touch that you give really goes a long way to making a difference in people choosing to use your service over boarding their dogs or other services that might be available to them.
Well, that's like it you mentioned earlier, that focus on the internal customers and the external customers, right? Knowing that we have to serve both of those, our staff, our employees, and the people who are using our services, and that they have different needs. They have different ways that need to be communicated with and focused on. And at the end of the day, that's our responsibility to understand how to work with both of them, because they're both essential to a thriving business, right? We need customers and if we have employees, we need them around.
Yeah. Catch them doing something right, praise them for it, or if they're doing something that's not right, you correct the behavior and let them know it's nothing personal. And that's just all of that. That's all part of the process of developing a great team, a team that understands you're there, you support them, you care, and that they're going to turn that around and care for your external clients, like you said, the clients that are paying for your services. And it's not just a side hustle at that point. It's part of their life, and it makes a difference in their life beyond the paycheck. And, that's really what I strive for with my team. And we've been successful. In the beginning, I didn't have the hiring part down pat. I didn't know, what's a good pet sitter? Now I'm getting better at it. And we've got a great team of folks. Lauren's been with us almost 2 years. Corey's been with us over a year. And the folks that we're hiring now, because we're hiring right, we're getting better at that, are really staying because this is a right fit for them.
Our friends at Pet Perennials makes it easy to send a heartfelt condolence gift directly to someone with a broken heart. They have this awesome direct-to-consumer gift model that takes the effort off of us and ensures a thoughtful, personalized sympathy gift reaches your client or employee on your behalf. All gift packages include a handwritten card, colorful gift wrap, and shipping fees across the U.S. and Canada. They also offer an array of milestone gifts and greeting cards that can be sent to celebrate birthdays, extend get well wishes, and welcome new and rescued pets. Additionally, there are gift choices in case you need to send a sympathy gift in memory of a special human client or celebrate a pregnancy, engagement, or wedding of a pet. If you're interested, register for a free business gift perks account to unlock the all-inclusive discounted package prices. The service is used on an as-need basis, so there are no monthly or annual obligations or minimum purchase. Learn more at petperennials.com. Check out their business program or register for that free gift perks account by using the link in the show notes. Well, and it's knowing, too, about what your expectations are. as a leader, as a manager. How do you do that? Are you hiring people that work well with your style? Are you being flexible to people who aren't quite in your style of leadership and management techniques? And what is that process? It is kind of an iterative process of going, ooh, okay, that one didn't work out, or oh, that I wonder why. Let me think about this. Let me make these minor adjustments, or these small adjustments, or sometimes big adjustments to me, and going, maybe how I usually approach things or how I wouldn't want to be managed. Maybe shockingly, that isn't how everybody would like to be managed, right? And kind of having the humility to go, okay, I need to learn other ways, and I need to be adaptable to these situations too.
Yeah, and that's the difference between management and leadership. Management is really about processes and procedures. You manage those, right? But you don't really manage people, you lead them. And if you understand and really take that step to learn the difference. The 1 Minute Manager book, I always go back to that. It's been around for like 40 years or something. It explains the difference between the two. And when you understand how to lead and inspire people to go out and represent you as a person, because your pet sitting business, people know it's you and Megan, right? Your name is on there. It's not just the name of your business. And so I want these folks to be going out and feeling happy that they're representing the clients in the way that I would back when I was just a solo pet sitter. And what does it take to make that happen? That's an always learning process. But you get better with it over time, and then you get really, really good at it. And then it's not that hard.
Well, for somebody who may be looking at this, they're looking to hire, maybe they have hired, and they are struggling with that manager leadership stuff. What's some advice that maybe you would give to somebody to start helping them go down that road in the right way?
Yeah, it's not intuitive. You have to break open a book. You might have to get online and take a course. There's so many great resources out there. I always go back to the old timey things, the 1 Minute Manager, read that book. Or what's the one that's been making the circles, the E-Myth Revisited?
Yeah.
That's an excellent book. And I've actually shared with a lot of business owners who don't get it. They start their business starts running them, and they get burned out. That's, as you know, super easy to do in our pet sitting world. And so understanding that it's okay to, after you read that book, like how to make the business complement your life and not replace your life or dictate, your day. And that's why we all go into business. We want to make money. We want to, for us, for me and my wife, Sandra, this is our retirement gig. We're going to build the business. We're going to put some people in place, and then we're going to step back from it, and we're going to just, hopefully live off of the income that it provides. But in the beginning, you have to put a lot of work into it. So, understand people, understanding the difference between leadership and management. You can go on any, web browser, leadership versus management. I wrote so many papers when I was working on my business degree on that topic. It's a fun topic to learn the difference of those. And then, understanding how to hire, the importance of hiring. There's great resources out there for that too. Take a course online. Understand that the success that you have with your business starts with that hiring decision. And that hiring decision is a responsibility as well. When you make a decision to bring someone on board, you're impacting their life. So there has to be a win-win there. So, in a nutshell, I guess that would be the crash course of, understanding how to be set up for success when building a team.
Well, let's talk about that building too, Ken, because I know you've been growing quite a lot ever since you started your business. How have you been working to grow and market? You talked a little bit about how you kind of didn't do the digital stuff at first, and were kind of going around and just greeting people and talking to people. What's that process been like for you?
Yeah, I really have embraced the old school, what we used to call guerrilla marketing. Doesn't cost a lot, but it has a big impact because it's so easy for us in our digital world to throw up a Google ad, get a Facebook presence going and just call it a day, or not, spend a lot of time doing those things, which then distracts us from the other things. So we have continued to do door hangers and magnets, which we have these little business card magnets, and the only piece of information on there is our logo and our website, because I want to drive everybody into this, everybody meaning clients, into this client pipeline that connects them to us, so we can respond to them in such a way that they realize that that we're listening. They'll go online, they'll fill out a form. It gets to either myself or our operations supervisor, Lauren. We reply with a text and an email, and then we set up a phone call. That process usually happens within the first 30 minutes to no later than an hour before a client gets to us. We have our van is branded. I call it the Critter Van. So it's branded, and I would say it outperforms our Google advertising as far as new clients. We drive around a lot, whether it's me out doing volunteer work or out, doing pet sits or meeting with my pet sitters. People see the van a lot. And then my staff all have magnets that they put on their cars. So I had one of our neighbors going, yeah, I've been seeing this critter thing all around the neighborhood, because most of my pet sitters are right here in the neighborhood. So, that old school process that's not digital really works. And then there's the community involvement part, being involved in chambers of commerce, being a volunteer, being involved with our church and other community groups. That all generates new clients and then referrals, just doing a great job with our clients. I do some digital stuff. I started blogging earlier this year. So I've been trying to be consistent with that. That helps us with our digital footprint and our presence online. I'll share that on Nextdoor, which gives us a lot of traction. And then LinkedIn is the only social media that we're on. It's not hyper local, but it's putting us in touch with the folks that we want to be in touch with. I would say at the professional level, business people that we meet in the community and stuff. So, and I do some Google ads and some Nextdoor ads, but for me, that's the afterthought, not the forethought.
It's really having that presence in the community. It sounds like, Ken, of wanting to have a face, have a presence, have people know, be familiar with these people. Who are they? What do they do? I know we try and get out and go to coffee shops or go to other businesses, just come in and say hi. And even we have a community center that we go to, and they have got a little community board. And for the longest time, we had introduced ourselves for the first time, and then the front desk people, they completely forgot our names. They only knew us as those pet sitters. And so we came in one time without our hats to do something, and they're like, wait, what are you? Huh? So it was kind of like, right. Yeah, we're the pet sitter people, but it's just that way to have that familiarity, right? Is really what that's doing. It's this comfortability of seeing these people out. They're doing things, they're engaged, they're active, they're giving back, they're contributing, they're using their position to make an impact and to make a change, whether that's just sponsoring things or showing up and helping. And it all really does come together.
It builds trust in the community. And, if you brand yourself, like you've got your hat, with your logo on it, or we've got some really nice shirts that we use for our meet and greets, I'll wear those out in the community. People see that and they're like, what is that? It creates an opportunity when you're standing in line at Walmart to talk about, pet sitting. Like, this is what pet sitters do. Oh, I have a dog. Great. Let us take care of it.
No, we get a lot of comments with people about our shirts, and they say, it'll say pet sitter, or sometimes it says dog walker, and they'll laugh and they'll go, I need one of those, because my dog really uses me like that. And we'll go, oh, ha, ha, ha. No, really, we do this for a living, right?
Right.
Then they kind of do that double take, like, wait, what? No, tell me more. Tell me more.
That's great.
But it is a way to just have that good conversation, right? And at the end of the day, a lot of people tend to overcomplicate marketing and advertising, and how do I do that, and brand consistency, and what does this mean for me, and how to make that work. Just have a conversation with somebody, and whatever form that looks, whatever platform that is, in person, online, newsletter, blog, social media, have a conversation, because then that's a genuine position that you're speaking from that's going to connect with people.
Yeah, and I remember back when I was at UNT and I was, overseeing like our social media marketing, that kind of stuff. One thing I learned early on with social media is the listening and the responding, right? Like it's more than just putting an ad on Google, or soliciting Google reviews and that kind of thing, but it's the response and letting people know, whether it's digital or in person, that you're a real person, that you're listening. And I just really think that the balance between the in-person, real, tangible, in the community kind of thing, peppered with enough of a social presence online that people can find you, if they're on their phone scrolling or pad or whatever. The balance between those two will, set you up for success if you're consistent with both of them. The in-person stuff, the community stuff, that's a lot more work. It's a heavy lift. But that foundation will create buzz in the community that you can't get online. I mean, you can, but it's expensive.
Right.
So what's the trade-off? Time investment or money investment? I have more time than I have money, so I'm going to do the time one.
Well, and right, like I've got to make that decision, and we look at our Google Analytics. We don't obsess over them, but every now and then, we go in and check and see how people are finding us, and it's very interesting. And this kind of speaks to that community involvement of the number one way people find our website is by searching for our business name. And that they do that because they had another point of contact somewhere offline, right? They saw the flyer, they saw the postcard, they got the thing, they saw the tennis ball or the poop bag containers that we give out, and they saw something of ours, and now they're searching for us to find us. And I love that because it means that that's it. We can put QR codes on stuff, and we've done that before too. But it really is this going, okay, no, people are going, I've got this tennis ball with this name on it. I'm going to go search for this, or let me go find this thing. Or that's how people are coming to us. And I really like that because it means that our name is out there and people are wanting to find the more information.
Yeah. And, untapped opportunities. Like, I make a lot of keys. I don't do the key boxes like you guys do. I still, keep customer keys. And so I'm a regular at the Ace Hardware store. And the community manager came up to me and he's like, "Hey, do you guys want to put some business cards out?" I'm like, "Yeah, I didn't know that was the thing, but yeah, for sure." And then going down to the local feed store, same thing. I had my shirt on and the manager came up to me and he goes, "We have a community board out there." I was like, "Oh, cool. I can put, so those opportunities just happen when people see you in your branded shirt or your branded hat or your branded van. Those opportunities are everywhere.
How did you make the decision to get the van branded? I'll say that right one time, but because that's a pretty big investment to have done. I know. So, how early on did you do that?
I did it right away.
Wow.
Because when you see vehicles that just have magnets, it kind of makes you think, well, is that the real deal? Somebody's trying to come into my house. I don't know. It just seems kind of sketchy to me, even though it's the right thing to do, at least in the beginning when you first start. When you can afford it, and I just had this conversation with a guy the other day. When you can afford it, do it because it sets you apart. It makes you look more professional. And it'll get a lot more attention than a magnet on the side of your door. So we didn't do a whole van wrap. We have a minivan. We didn't do a whole van wrap, but we did the back windows. And like the magnets that we use and every other piece of information that we have where a client can reach out to us, the only information that it has is our logo, pet sitting, dog walking, and the URL to our website. Because once again, I want to get everybody into that pipeline. I want to get them right to our website so we can respond and get them set up as a client.
Keeping it simple. I mean, that's huge because again, if you have to think of the context of this car that's driving the speed limit, I know, but sometimes it's going to go by quickly, right? And we have to have big, nice, clear information that's easily captured.
And sometimes when I'm driving, through neighborhoods, I might be leaving a client's house or something, and I'll see somebody walking a dog. I'll slow down. I'll get a little closer to the curb and hope that they'll see the window. But yeah.
I'm just envisioning what they see as this car getting really close to them and driving super slowly as they hold their leash tighter.
Right. Well, and and other thing too is my wife and I will we call it the critter van. So my wife will say, "Hey, can I take the critter van? I'm going to play pickleball." And where she plays pickleball is a parking lot of potential clients that are going to see that van.
Yeah.
I haven't done this yet, but I've been thinking about doing it. Just means because it takes me from 2 cars to 1 car, and I might need to get to it fast. Is actually parking the van at like a dog walking park that's close around here, or a dog park. Places where people are is where I try to make sure that van is parked if it's going to be parked for a long period of time where I'm not using it.
I know you've been learning a lot and growing over the past 3 years. Ken, what's been something that you've maybe struggled with or was more of an issue than you thought it would be when you first started?
The hiring, I think, across the board for all of us is always the toughest part. In the beginning, I wasn't doing a good job with that because I was trying to fill a void, this position for a pet sitter with a warm body. And I didn't know who my target hiring employee, who I wanted to hire, who I wanted on my team. I knew what personality I wanted. And you get that, when you talk to somebody on the phone, they're going to tell you what you want to hear. But getting past that and really understanding how to get that right person that's the right fit for the clients that we're servicing. So that was the biggest struggle for us. I've gotten better at it. I'm not perfect at it yet, but I've got it down almost to a science now with the way that we set up our interview questions. Our pre-interview questions that we launch on the different, employee profile company, like Indeed and ZipRecruiter and all that stuff that you can get on to hire. Just how we put the questions to where they respond to the ad in a way that makes us think that this is maybe the right person for us to have a phone call with. And if they make it past the phone call, then there's that in-person interview. So there's steps that they have to go through that are more for us to see if they're a right fit. So that was the biggest struggle and still is.
What have you fallen in love with more, or what maybe what's excited you most about the business?
So many things. Honestly, it goes back to just being able to get out in the community and promote the business. We're super involved with one of the local Chamber of Commerces. So I'm going to be joining more Chamber of Commerces. We serve 5 major cities in the Fort Worth area. And we just got recognized by the one chamber that we're a part of as being a rising star, which is super exciting. We try to be involved with them and support them as well in what they're trying to accomplish in the community. And when you do that, you get recognized for it. So I really enjoy getting out and meeting other business owners, but also helping other pet sitters. And I've had the opportunity to do that too. Some of the same people that helped me in the beginning that were there for me, I've been able to turn that around and help them. And that makes me happy,
I love that. I love that, Ken. And I want to thank you for coming on the show today and talking to us about the importance of focusing on hospitality and being involved in the community. And at the end of the day, we can use our position in our business for change, for things, and make it part of who we are and living out of our values. I know there's a whole lot more here, and you're involved with a lot of other stuff. You mentioned SCORE and all of that. How can people get in touch with you and follow along with everything cool that you've got going on?
Yeah, it's super easy, and I'd love to hear from people. You can just go to our website, creeksidecritters.com, and that's got our email and our phone number. Those both ring directly through to me. And then, as I mentioned, the only social media platform I'm on is LinkedIn. I love connecting with people there, so you can find me there. Just search my name, Ken Botts. And then Creekside Critters Pet Sitters also has a page on there. And I'd love to hear from anybody and just chat about our industry because it's such an amazing world that we're a part of. And I love it. And I'm going to this is the last career I'm going to ever have. And to have the opportunity to meet new people starting up in the business or folks that are already in the business and just want to chat and brainstorm, I'd love to hear from people.
Ken, this has been such a pleasure and honor to have you on the show. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity and all you do for the pet sitting world.
Is your heart in it? Is your heart in serving others, in serving the pets? At the core of what we do in a service-based business is serving people. Having a heart for others allows us to see where we need to improve, allows us to go that extra mile, allows us to put in the effort necessary to get the results that we want and the client expects. None of that happens if the heart and that passion isn't there. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes the days are long. We're tired. Sometimes things don't go the way we want to, and the heart's not quite there. Burnout is real. Compassion fatigue is real. So we have to take care of ourselves first and foremost before we can serve anybody. Surround yourself with a team and a community that can support you and encourage you, that helps you propel yourself through those times. Sometimes it can help you bring that heart back to life when you most need it. We want to thank today's sponsors, Time to Pet and Pet Perennials, for making today's show possible. And we really want to thank you so much for listening. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll be back again soon.